Hey everybody, Crash here, DM for this campaign. If you're watching this, just a heads up, we did not record these sessions or stream them. So episodes 1 through 23 are just summed up by me and the players of Bubbles, Claximus, and Analura as we sort of look back at the beginning of the campaign in those early episodes and try our best to remember what happened and provide some kind of context for what happened in the earlier days of the campaign. So they're short, they're sweet, I hope, and they help sort of establish the history of the campaign that has spanned 2 years and over 100 sessions. So hope you enjoy. So let's talk about session 2, Life of a Slave. Because Zalnos tried to stand up for Jakes, who was killed at the end of the previous session, it seems the officers have taken a disdain for him. While we were just trying to do our jobs, the other goons on the ship tried to start some shit. While that was going on, Bubbles and I, this is from Analura's perspective, visited Quartermaster Grok in order to get some of their items back. With some magic detection, identification, and some tall tales by Bubbles, we managed to get a number of items without it costing much at all. Our biggest prize was Rosie Cuswell's viola. That definitely curried us some favor with her. It seems that the gang was starting to get together to plot an escape. Zalno, Squall, Bubbles, and Sendara Quinn were getting awfully close, and Rosie was now interested in assisting them too. They eventually came to me and Claximus, and we both agreed to help them out when the time came. For now, we just have to lay low. So yeah, so session 2 was very much, let's try to get some equipment back. Let's try to get better standing on the crew. Let's try to find allies. Let's try not to get killed by the current crew and the ship's officers. Yeah, so that was kind of the focus of session 2, was getting a feel for the social aspects of being a pirate and trying to figure out, are we always going to be slaves? Is there a way to get through this? Yeah, that was what I had to start role playing. I think like 20 something different NPCs. And I was like, well, it can't get much worse than this. And boy, howdy. Yeah. So
I think the interesting thing about the first 2 sessions is so unlike your regular campaign where you do start off in like, a tavern, or at least the entire group kind of gets together and they do something together. The first 2 sessions, a lot of it, at least for me and Claximus, we were kind of just doing our own thing.
Yeah.
Because given the state of the situation, like we were all slaves. We didn't know who each other were.
And you weren't really allowed to talk to each other either.
Yeah, so in a way, the first 2 sessions was split party.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go one by one and talk about your experiences on the ship.
Yeah, and that was true even in character and like even as players, kind of, because we didn't. Well, at least for me, like, because I came into the group and I didn't know anyone, and that eventually kind of brought the crew together in a more like kind of natural way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just say it's like building off of that too is a huge portion of this stuff. We were ending up doing stuff for our nighttime actions, right? So like we kind of touched on it for session 1, but you'd have your daytime action where you were expected to work, right? Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Your day crew, you have to do these tasks. Otherwise, you get fucked up pretty bad. Nighttime was really when you could try to like push the envelope a little bit more. So like in Analura's notes, like Analura and I, we went to talk to the quartermaster, and the reason we were originally talking to her was to try to get an item back for a random NPC that was also enslaved, because
I think we were trying to get back her like
it was her viola,
that viola.
And like that was just because we didn't have allies. We barely do each other. We just knew that like we couldn't really trust any of the current crew that were working under Dungar. So we knew like, okay, all these other people who were enslaved with us are also not down for
I
for
think
being.
I think what we did is we had Crash separate the NPCs from people who enjoyed watching the kill
the
hauling
kill
Yeah,
hall,
yeah.
yeah.
to those not interested in watching the kill hauling. I think that's how we chose our allies to pursue.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you wanted me to, and I just moved the miniatures to one side of the ship or the other, so you kind of knew what their stance was on capital punishment, essentially.
Yeah, and that's something too. Like with all the people who were enslaved to us, which Rosie Cuswell is a really big one. Sandara Quinn was a really big one. Those are the two that stick out. But there was a lot of NPCs. So you know what I mean. And they're yeah. So when Grass says that he was like RPing like 20 different people.
Per the adventure too, I had to track your faction with every other person on the crew, because it would come into play later on, in the adventure. Like, how each NPC felt about you would impact that big thing that happens later. So I had a whole spreadsheet where I had to keep track of who they liked, who they didn't like, what effort you guys had done to win them over to your side. It was a lot. It was a lot to track, but it also again was completely unique to this campaign, and I think it added a lot of flavor, for the kind of gritty, low-level pirate feel, that was required for the beginning of the campaign. So
Yeah,
right.
and because of that like pseudo split party situation, like you had to pretty much, because we were all just talking to different people. We were trying to talk to, like, I think I was talking to Krupp and Grok, and then like Zolnos would be talking to other people. Like we were all just trying to, so you had to carry on like different conversations with different people,
Right,
throughout the whole thing.
and then cut back and forth between them. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was very challenging, but overall I enjoyed it, and I feel like it set a precedent for the rest of the campaign.